Hello and welcome to the Fed by Farmers podcast with me, Cammy Wilson.
Me, Iona Murray.
And guest Lizzy Thompson.
That's great. Lizzie, if you could speak up a little bit. I know you're very quiet spoken. We have Lizzie with us today. For the audio listeners who could barely make her out there, she's very quietly spoken. She doesn't like all this stuff in front of the cameras. But interestingly, Lizzie is still our most listened to podcast.
Crazy.
Now, yours wasn't on YouTube, so we can't compare it. But on audio downloads, you're still the number one. Which is impressive. Like, we've had some big names on, but you apparently are the biggest name of all.
Okay.
But I think it's actually because it's like this secret thing with Lizzie. It's like she's, always on the fringes of the sheep game, but she doesn't like being on the camera.
Yeah.
She doesn't like any of the glory. She just wants to work hard.
So there's intrigue.
Intrigue. That's it. Yeah. She's intriguing. That's what lured me in at first. I think we spoke about this. It's like she looks so aggressive and
unapproachable.
Yes. And it was like this challenge. It's like nobody would speak to her because she looked so angry. And it was like, I'm going to go and speak to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was angry, but it's like, I've got to win her over. I've got to win her over.
Still trying.
Yeah, well, it's went like full circle. Like I won her over, and it was nicey, and now we're at that stage now where it's almost like a married couple where they hate each other's guts again. So we came full circle back to don't talk to me. But, hey.
It's not quite that bad yet.
No. Some days are okay.
Once number three's here.
Yeah, once there's 3 kids. It is the kids that do it. Like before kids, everything's like God, like life.
And you'll go back to that as well once the kids are older.
Yeah, something to look forward to.
If we can hang on that long.
Yeah, something to look forward to in 20 years when we talk to each other again. Like, do you know what? Things weren't that bad, were they? Time heals all wounds.
Oh yeah, you forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Forgets.
No, Lizzie and I do get on very well actually. We work together virtually every day, apart from I'm away scanning. And I think we go okay, yeah?
Not many people would want to work together, would they?
Oh, I'm not saying I want to, but it's like...
Hey, that's nasty.
I'm only joking. No, I think it's great.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, the whole family thing, and it works very well. I'm very fortunate though, and we've kind of touched it. We're going to do a question and answer session here, but with Lizzie, it's like, it's a bit weird to say, but it's almost like being in a relationship with a guy.
In what way?
She does everything, like in terms of work, like she does everything a guy does. It's like I can send it to sheer, alright, she's pregnant just now, but I could send it to sheer 50 sheep. Like
50?
Yeah. Well, 100, she's like, only 50. Well, I could send it to sheer 2. Nah, you wouldn't send somebody to do. But you've like, if I've been too long waiting, she'd just go and set a trailer up and shear 50 sheep herself.
Or the rams or...
Yeah, or last year she did 36 rams herself because I was taking too long to do them. But like, it's almost like having another guy. I'm not saying women can't do that, but it's rare. It is very bloody rare that you find yourself a woman. There's a lot of good women in farming, but it's rare that you find yourself a woman that shears your rams. I tell you that.
Yeah, no, true.
There's maybe 5 in the whole of the UK that could do it. So it's more in New Zealand, right enough. There's some hardy lassies down there
now.
In the shearing world. But so I'm very lucky. There's tough girls, and then there's Lizzie. That's what I say.
How are you getting on growing number 3?
Not bad. A little bit sore this time, maybe.
Because you're doing too much.
I do quite a bit, and the boys are busy.
Yeah.
Busy. So.
Yeah. And she has started a YouTube channel now as well.
Yes.
This could be like our big launch
No.
podcast. Lizzie's on YouTube. What have you called it, Lizzie?
Farming Born and Bred.
Okay. Why did you go with that?
I think it is it emulate the word? Encapsulates, that would do.
Yeah.
My lifestyle with the kids.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. I think it's really good. It's a very well used term. It's almost a thing that people refer to themselves with pride. Like I'm farming born and bred, you're farming born and bred, Lizzie's farming born and bred, and the boys
will be
going to be farming born and bred. But I think like YouTube is such a big genre. This family channels.
Oh yeah.
Folk love. What's the one you look at that's a dozen kids?
Oh no, that's on TikTok. Doherty Dozen, she is on TikTok.
Doherty Dozen on TikTok.
Is she a farmer?
No, not farming, but just family life.
Have you seen that programme 23 Kids and Counting?
Natalie watches that.
23 or 22?
22, I think.
22.
Oh, is it?
Maybe 23 now. I don't know. I suppose the name has to change every time. That's awkward. But they're like...
No, I think they're finished at 22, aren't they?
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
They're making like millions off their social media stuff.
Be,
and good on them though, because I think their big thing is they never took any benefits.
No, they have their own business, didn't they?
Yeah, was it bakeries?
Pies or something.
Yeah, so good on them. And like, and the kids like watching them too, because kids like watching other kids playing.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought. Lizzie's doing all this work behind the scenes that nobody sees. If I could just convince her to pick up a phone, make some clips of the boys running riot and the work she does, I think it'll surpass the Sheep game. See, within the next couple of years, it'll surpass the Sheep game. Because people love watching family videos, and you do not get better family videos than families growing up on farms.
No, definitely not.
Look at Yorkshire Shepherdess.
Yeah, she's popular.
I mean, that is the biggest farming show there's probably ever been, and it's all because of the kids. She's good she's tough as nails too. Old Clyde's a good lad, but Clive, but Clyde's more a Scottish name, isn't it? Clive. But it's the kids. It's like, is it wee Tilly and all that? They're away on their wee adventures to pick dandelions, I think I've seen one.
Right, okay.
You know, they want to make their wish bone out.
That is so nice.
It's just the fun of that and the way they interact together. So once we get to 9 kids, Lizzie, it'll go viral.
Definitely not having 9.
The Wilson, what could it be?
There's
the
no
Doherty
chance.
dozen, the Wilson...
This might be it.
Wild ones. Go with that. Jock is wild. But yeah, so please check Lizzie's YouTube channel out, Farming, Born and Bred, and it will be very family based with plenty of farming stuff as well.
Yeah.
Have we got some? Oh, before we do our questions, Iona.
Yes, the biggie, it's the important one.
Yeah, I better do a shout out to the guys that make this all happen, and that's Crystalyx and Animax. Animax with the Tracesure bolus sitting over my left shoulder here if you're watching on YouTube. And someone mentioned about some product placement and that, but like, very, very proud to have them on board and to have them on display as they are here on, if you're watching on YouTube. There's a big expense to this. Iona's obviously on a wage. Ashley, who's behind the camera doing the editing, is on a wage. It all has to be paid for. The time involved in podcasting is insane. Even the arranging guests and making that all happen. And we have big plans for going out on farm, making podcasts. And I think there's a real opportunity for us to grow it further in terms of a lot of my favourite podcasts. They do a subscription model where it's like £5 a month and you get, extended interviews, ad-free listening, bonus content.
Yep.
We're going to do a live show as well. I haven't even told you about this idea. You know how ideas just come out of my head. But I have an idea for before Christmas next year with a couple of huge guests that I've already kind of teed up, and we draw a big, big crowd. Okay. So, yeah. So we might watch this space. We might end up doing that because it is a good way to raise revenue, which is an important part of this whole thing. So thanks to Crystalyx and Animax. Keep an eye out. Crystalyx now, this time of year, pre-lambing, your ewes need really high energy levels, but they can't get too much into their gut because they're full of lambs. That's where Crystalyx comes in. You get a teaspoonful worth a day is all the ewes need to get all their nutrients and the extra high energy. They had to jump through all these hoops for like the Trading Standards Authority and all that to prove that the buckets provide extra high energy.
How do you prove that?
Well, they've did it. I don't actually have the facts and figures, but Graham, the marketing manager, was telling me, like, because you might just think, oh, they've called it extra high energy, why don't we just call our buckets extra high energy?
Yeah.
It's like we have to actually back it up.
Prove it. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So you have to compare it to other products that say they're high energy.
Yeah.
Why are you extra high energy?
Yeah, okay.
And Crystalyx were able to do that by saying X, Y, and Z. And I should really find that out and tell you, but that's a fact. You can't just call things in that world. You just can't. Whereas this is the extra good Fed by Farmers podcast. Prove otherwise. I can call it what I like. Extra good because Lizzie's here. So that's that out of the way. Thanks so much. If you're watching YouTube, click subscribe. If you're listening audio, press the plus button.
Crystalyx Extra High Energy Feed Blocks have been providing high energy supplementation to ewes, lambs and rams in the UK since 1978. Packed full of protein, vitamins, minerals and trace elements, Crystalyx Extra High Energy has been proven to increase live lamb numbers and improve lamb daily live weight gain at a cost of only 4 to 7 pence per ewe per day. To view the full Crystalyx range and find your nearest stockist, visit crystalyx-global.com.
Iona?
Yes.
What's the first question today? I think we have a voice note, do we?
We do.
From a global superstar as well. Arguably more famous than any of us. I'm not sure if we count ourselves being famous.
I am definitely not.
You are. You're in the Scottish... Oh, no, you're in the headlines last week. Briefly, we should talk about that, actually. That was a fortnight ago now. How did you end up in the headlines?
Well, it was Dad. He topped
It's always Dad, isn't it?
Inland Blackie sale.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, good.
So Inland Blackies is pregnant female Scottish Blackface Sheep.
Yep.
We always have to mention the Blackies on the podcast because Tom Pemberton loves it.
Does he?
Yeah, I always give Tom a shout out. He's good. He gives right good critical feedback about what's good, what's working, what's not, and I like that. And He said, what was it he said last week? There's only so many times you can hear about a blackie. Right enough, but apart from that, he says, love it, the stuff's great. Not really into blackies, although I now know what they are. So Inlam Blackface Sheep, your dad topped the sale.
Yep.
How much did he get for a female?
He got 5,800.
Gee whiz.
Not bad, eh?
Where was that?
That inheritance is looking good. Even 5,800 split 4 ways is all right, I tell you. Well done.
Well, no, this was the first time though where things have changed. So they had a show before it, and you get prize money for the show. And first time that money did not go to me, went to my nieces.
Oh,
so it's gone. Times have changed.
It's moving past.
I know.
Heartbreaking.
It is. It made me feel old.
Yeah, that's how much is the prize money?
£25. But then for that was, I can't remember because he got different things of prizes, but one of them was a Crystalyx block.
A block of Crystalyx?
Yep.
Shout out to Crystalyx for sponsoring. Well, they sponsor all the Blackie sales too because they've always got the band on the ring.
Yep.
Yeah, they know where the money is. Crystalyx know where to go to get the big sales, I tell you. These Blackie boys. So well done to your dad for that.
Yeah.
Now, we have someone famous on, as I said, with a voice note question this week.
Yes.
We'll play that and then we'll let people try and figure out who it is. Some will know, some won't, and then we'll reveal after. Let's play that.
Do you guys know of any female farmers that manage a farm that isn't owned by their family or someone they're related to? And the second part of the question is, do you think that's because of family ties, i.e. having kids? I asked this to someone the other day, and they said it's because there's not many females in farming. And I was like, what on earth are you on about? That's ridiculous. Of course there's lots of females in farming. So, yeah, just wanted your opinion and see what you thought. Thanks.
In case you're wondering who that voice is, that was Ellen Halliwell, who is famous for being on season 1 of Jeremy Clarkson's Farm, as it's called on Amazon. She was the legend that was showing him the sheep world, and she was doing the shearing when he get kicked in the nuts, and she was great on that. And Ellen's been in touch with this question. Now, what are your thoughts? Can I, as I often do, can I go first? All I'm going to say is I think she's making a point there about if having the kids holds the women back from taking on the running of the farm and stuff, which is a good point. But something that she never really touched on and I think might be relevant is the fact, is it an issue that more women aren't managing farms because the people who own the farms don't want a woman to do it? Or
because they're not going for it?
Yeah, or maybe there's just not enough going for it. That is the other option. Now, I'm a big believer that, when there's a job advertised, the best person should get the job.
Yeah, I back that.
It was like the nonsense we saw with RAF a wee while ago. They were getting in all sorts of bother because they were turning down better applicants to allow females in.
Which is just wrong, and I think we need to accept that in some things in life, females are better, and in some things, males are better. That's just how it is.
Yeah, but I agree.
For the majority.
Yeah.
Whereas there'll be a minority that will match the skills or ability.
Yes, but I would say farming is one aspect where there's not much holding a male and female. There's no difference, really.
No.
Okay, a guy can maybe lift a heavier bale in a heavier bucket than the average female, but how relevant? Everything's
it's not relevant.
Nobody lifts heavy stuff really in farming these days.
No.
Shearing, again, is different. Shearing's a sport.
But you get people into shear, don't you? You don't need to shear your own.
No, but I mean, like, if we talk about,
like
men and women aren't equal in shearing.
No, okay.
And they're never going to be because it's a sport, it's a physical sport. But in farming, where it's about how savvy you are, how clever you are, how you manage things, there's no reason for it to be any different.
But you can see if the family side of it, when it is such a hands-on physical job, it's...
I think she's probably touched on a really good point about the kids.
Yeah.
And it goes back to this whole thing about the wage gap, within industries. And people make this massive thing about the gender pay gap. But then when you boil it down, there's various factors in that. And one of the major factor is that women get to a point in their life where they're about 30 and they decide, right, time to have kids. And it halts their progression quite often into those higher paid jobs, because they decide to go off and have the kids, and they might have 1, 2, 3 kids. There's 3 years of your life in the middle of your best, your most advancing career moments spent doing the kids, but they want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's a great thing, and I'm sure quite often they're much happier as a result rather than going after this bloody professional development. You know, and we spoke about it in the podcast this week with Emma about the major differences. We talked about finances and stuff like that, but there's a huge difference in sport, and like we kid ourselves on. There's a huge difference in a lot of things. Like why is there no female darts players at the top?
Why is that? I don't know. Why is that?
Well, one is there's a lot less women playing darts for a start.
Guys, who's into darts?
Oh, me now.
Are you?
That
only after Luke.
I know, only because but I don't mind. I like any sport. I appreciate skill. I appreciate people that can do things that nobody else can do. But darts is a sport.
I just think how you get into darts, it's like
drinking pints at the pub. Yeah, that's you look at the guys that are in it. They're not
as many women are sat drinking pints. Not as many, but some.
Yeah,
are sat drinking pints at the pub, are they?
Yeah, and I think it's a very British, maybe European thing, because I would argue that looking at darts, I would say it's a very hand-eye coordination sport. Well, it's probably just all hand-eye coordination. And you'd argue that a lot of the Asian countries, things like your badminton, table tennis, are very good. They're the best at the hand-eye coordination stuff, but there's no really any in darts because it's probably a very Western sport. So are you actually really seeing the best guys? Comes back to that old thing we spoke about. The best guy, the best swimmer to ever lived, probably never learned to swim.
Yeah.
No, aye.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just your luck in life. Tennis players been the prime example. It's all rich kids that become tennis players. Do you know what I mean? But the best tennis player that ever lived probably never hit a ball.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the sexism thing with farming, I wonder if just sometimes...
If you've got kids and you're getting into a farm, you would have a partner coming with you, would you not?
It's a team effort, exactly.
Aye, so like no one's going to be running a farm by themselves. Well, some, but you're not going to be applying maybe without...
Yeah, usually taking the full family. I just think we just haven't had time yet. I think the women in agriculture is...
There's less of them.
No, but there's less of them as a percentage, so of course there's going to be less getting the top jobs. But there's also... It's also still quite a new thing, how many women are doing what were previously male jobs.
Yeah.
You know, like Ellen, with you know, doing her contract shepherd work, like what Lizzie's doing with the shearing.
Well, I think like when I started shearing, I think they said, I think there was like 1 in 5,000 shearers was female, and now there's like 1 in 20.
That's like
in like, and that's
1
like
in 20.
Yeah, and they reckon that's in like I've probably 10 years before I started shearing.
That is
isn't
actually
it?
unbelievable.
Think how many females at the Goldies just now? Like there's heaps.
Oh yeah, no, it's incredible. Like women shearers and just women. I think women's mentality is overtaking the male mentality in terms of resilience and toughness.
Right. Okay.
Like we're taking that winning edge away, where like the old kind of hunter gatherer, like pushing to succeed, pushing to survive, and now we're just sort of. Everybody's just sort of trundling along with no real drive, no real goal, no real ambition, because it's just taking part. That's all that matters. Taking part. Here's a medal. Well done. You know, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. You don't need to work that hard. Just take part.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You're just as good as the guy that beat you. You know what I mean? Rather than being like, go away, work hard, you'll get them next time.
Yeah. And I think as well,
because life, like we teach kids this thing, but you actually really need to teach kids to lose.
That's what I was.
Because you're going to lose so many more times in life than you're ever going to win. You know, I've lost, and I've spoken about this in the thing before. Even with shearing, you know, I would say I'm okay at shearing, probably above average, but I've lost 90%, if not, well, I've probably lost 95% of the competitions I've taken part in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still get the buzz out it. I still go up there. I still want to push and beat those guys, and I just wouldn't have that same if it was like, oh, well done. He's all just as good as each other.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but like, surely it's a more attractive trait to be a winner.
Or try to be a winner.
Or try to be, yeah. But you are winning. See, if you're trying to be a winner, you are a winner. See, as long as you're trying to win, or you're trying to be the best, or you're working hard to achieve something, you are a winner. Now that's me going like, oh, you're taking part, you're a winner. But it is. It's not about actually winning. It's
mindset.
It's just trying to win.
Yeah.
Because like none of us
can't all win.
No, like you know, the amount of wins you have in your life are so tiny and few. Like there's always another setback just round the corner. But as long as you keep trying to win, that's the big thing.
Yeah, the drive and the ambition.
Yeah, because it's like we speak mental health all the time. I think I do, and we discuss this. A big part of it is just trundling along, same thing every day. You're just in the whether you're in the rat race or it's, you know, there's no way to progress at work or everything's samey.
Yeah.
That's got to be a big factor in that. You're losing that edge.
You lose the ability to think. Like, you end up living life subconsciously. Like, you're not actually, you know, when it's the same thing day in, day out. So that's me going into my woo stuff.
But it's good.
You know what I mean? Like, whereas you go into and then coming into a level of consciousness and actually being aware of what you're doing.
No, it's on autopilot, just doing the same thing each day.
Yeah, comfort. Like we spoke about this. Like we spoke about the folk in the rubbish tips. Did you not watch it? No, but a Business Insider thing of the folk just surviving on rubbish tips.
Yeah.
But like everybody's happy. I'm not saying they're happy. I said this at the time, but like they're all working as a family unit. All they're thinking about is waking up the next day and getting enough food and stuff to keep going. They have no other worries. They don't worry about what's happening in this part of the world and you know.
And but look as well at the mental health crisis that came out of COVID as well. And what did people have more of than they've ever had before? Is time.
Time to
think. And like that's surely got a big part to play. You know.
Oh, 100%.
But I also would counteract that by saying I do think there is a balance. Like I do think you also need time to do.
Well, you meditate in that, but then you don't think when you meditate.
Oh, clear the brain.
Yeah, I mean, listen, a lot of successful people do that. You know, a lot of these big business people will do like meditation, or they'll do psychological coaching, like basically talking to a therapist. Like it's not just for. Alistair Campbell talks about it. You know, he's very driven and high end, and you know he'll speak to a therapist quite regularly just to tune him up.
But I think that's the thing with therapy as well, because it's like people wait until it gets to a point where they actually need it, rather than...
Funny, Hamza Yusuf did an interview with the guys at The Rest is Politics, and he's previously had mental health counselling for depression, I suppose, or stress and depression, I think he was talking about when he was Transport Minister, and various issues were happening, and he said there, like, you should really check in and go for a couple of sessions, because now his pressure's bigger than ever that he's First Minister. And actually that was received really well, because it's like good that a big, you know, fairly powerful leader is open enough to say, actually, we all need a bit of help now and again to go and get tune up. So no, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that as well, it's like mad at school and things, all the things you're taught, but there's nothing about like regulating emotions or like, do you know, like things like that I think can help you in the real world.
Tough with kids though, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, like, I'd just like them to teach them about VAT and tax
Is he
before we even
teenage?
start that. Do you know what I mean?
I
The school
know.
curriculum's ridiculous.
It is.
Absolutely
It is.
ridiculous.
I know.
The things they teach you.
I'm actually
But you come out of school with no idea about like
Life.
self-employment tax or, you know, paying tax and how
No.
what VAT is. And
mortgages.
I mean, even you weren't that savvy on VAT when we were.
I'm still not.
Yeah. It's like folk don't know about mortgages. Working at interest. Like one great example is you go for a car finance and they tell you it's let's say it's 9% APR actually well, your brain will think, right, there's a total, there's 9%, but it's 9% each year.
Yep.
So actually, if it's a 3-year deal, all right, it drops as the amount owed drops, the interest rate drops, but it still works out at, say, 18% interest on the loan. So you just think 9%, oh, it's 9% interest, but it's 9% APR.
Yep.
You know, it's on each year.
Every year.
Yeah, but nobody teaches that at school. They teach you nonsense about all sorts of stuff.
And that's where my mortgage is just due up in April. I'm looking to renew, and I feel like I'm lost. And I'm like, who do you even get help from? Because I feel like all the advisors you go to work for certain banks, and
It's a good question. I
wouldn't know where to start.
No, I know. I used to do a bit with mortgages and stuff, but I mean,
things are mental. My rate is quadrupled.
anyway, that's mortgages and that done. So yeah, my thoughts, that was the biggest tangent ever. My God.
I know.
That's 30 minutes done.
Wild.
I know, right. Good job somebody's checking the boys. Right, is there another question? We better do at least 2 questions. Ellen, thanks for sending that voice note. If anyone wants to send a voice note, do that, because that's class.
Most foragers don't supply sheep and cattle with enough cobalt, copper, iodine and selenium, critical to digestion, immunity, reproduction and growth. When it comes to supplementation, there's a danger of under or oversupply. But when bolusing with Animax Tracesure, you can be sure every animal has enough for up to 6 months in one single application. Animax, giving what it takes.
Yeah, this one is a sort of kind of follow-up to that one, so I don't know if it's a bit samey,
I don't
but
know if we answered that.
I'll just fire it out there. Kaz mentioned that 95% of vets are female. Why is there no uproar and media bashing about this? In other areas of the agricultural industry, there is a level the field agenda going on at the moment. Why is it acceptable for there to be females having a bigger presence in an industry, but not for males to do exactly the same?
Who sent that, a female or a male?
MF6480. I would say it'll be a male.
You have to balance it. Why do you?
Why do you?
I couldn't care less. See all this, it has to be balanced. It messes things up.
I do back that 100%.
Who cares if they're the best at the job?
Yeah.
And they want to do it.
And that's where there's the yin and yang. Like, you need some people to be better at things. That was a really weird sentence.
A yin and yang?
Yeah, yin and yang.
It's a caring job, isn't it? And then just women are more naturally drawn to it, aren't they? Like
Yeah, but
being a vet is a caring
But I think
thing.
farm vets would be traditionally men.
But did
Farm vets, yeah.
But did Kaz
Oh, but
not
no,
say
that's
it was
just vets.
because girls are doing better at school?
Yeah,
And
he did
because
say
the
that.
grades, it's harder to get in.
He did say that. Yeah, which is probably true because the girls will do the work. And this is, again,
Stereotypical.
it isn't. There's always those high-end guys that are just so driven and, like, you know, absolute machines. But probably majorities like me are just like, I just want to have a laugh. Do you know what I mean? And being a vet, to me, the return on being a vet, there isn't a good enough return on the amount of work.
It's a lot. It's 7 years plus, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Well, Kaz's route is certainly 7 years. I don't know if it's
no, it is.
Is it 7 years?
When I looked at it, it was 7. It's a lot of money. A lot of money.
A lot of debt, and then the wages aren't that
Apparently
fantastic.
not that flash, no.
Definitely not for farm vets. They can't be. Like it's just a real, has to really be a calling, I think, to go down that route. And it's much like people that become a doctor. Has to be like this kind of calling. Not for me.
No.
No chance. I'll just work with sheep any day. And it's not, for people being vets, it's not about money. Like, they're doing it because they want to be vets. That's one good thing about vets. Like, nobody goes into being a vet thinking they're going to get rich. No. They do it because they love to work with animals, which is why they're so great to deal with. Like, they actually do love the animals. It's not just making a quick buck. Yeah. Do we have another question we could squeeze in?
So it's from Martin, just wondering if the farming partners system would work well for sheep farming.
Okay. So Brendan from Farming Partners system of grass-based dairy and working your way into part of the herd, I would say probably no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say probably no for a couple of reasons.
It's more money to get into cows, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like, that's why.
Yeah.
Sheep, you can get, easy to get in, but you can get more in.
Yeah.
Well, it's so much money to come into cows and so long to get your money back.
Serious.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're spending £2,000 on a milking animal, a cow, you've then got to feed it and milk it and calve it, do all this other stuff, supply grazing. Time you get your money back, like, it's a fair investment. Whereas with sheep, give you an example just now. There's a breeding sheep sale there last week. Mule ewes scanned at which is a type of cross show, scanned at 185, 190%, selling at £150. Right, so let's say a ewe with twins is selling at £150. Yeah. Well, in a fat lamb, there's fat lambs last week making £200 for a prime lamb. So a breeding, like, so you could buy sheep. I mean, I could buy that sheep. I mean, we've actually been looking now when I've seen these prices about some lambing in March, but you buy that sheep at £150. She has her 2 lambs. You'll sell them for £90 a head in 4 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Or, 6 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And
doing nothing.
Yeah, and nearly double your money.
Yeah.
Whereas dairy, and if you're just starting up, you could go to the market. You could go to your local livestock market. If you're unknown, you'd need to get a couple of references, but you could say, I want to buy £10,000 worth of sheep.
Yeah.
And I'll turn them round back to you in 6 weeks.
You only need a grass field, and that's it, really.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like dairy, you'd need tractors and
A parlour.
machinery,
Bloody parlour.
parlour.
Yeah. I just think it's very different. I think sheep's far too easy to get in and out.
Yeah.
And a very quick return on your investment, whereas dairy's you've got to love what you're doing, and that's why Brendan does it that way. You work with them first, and you do it for a year or so to see if you can really stick it.
Yeah.
Rather than just having people come in and think they fancy being in dairy farmers, and then this isn't for me. You make them do the work, the hard yards first.
Yep.
and then if you see that they're going to work and you can trust them, then you bring them into the fold. That's why it's a good business model.
Yeah. There was one other question that I just remembered that we got through, just asking basically, she'd moved to the area recently, and it's what's the easiest way to find out who farms different fields or what land might be available, that sort of thing.
Networking.
Yeah, that comes back to the networking.
Yeah, get your face out there.
Yeah.
Go to market.
Yeah. Get some contacts. You know, I've got a couple of boys that, don't get me wrong, I know quite a lot of who farms what just through shearing and contracting and having sheep all over the place. You get to know your neighbours. But, you know, I also have contacts that know even more than me.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can make a phone call and be like, who owns that there?
Yep.
You know.
So maybe if she gets herself involved in things, she could
What
website.
what area is she in?
New Cumnock.
New Cumnock?
Yep.
Right, okay. Well, it goes back to the things I've said before. Go and work at the market.
Yeah.
I go and just do a few.
Get to know the farm names, who the farmers are.
Yep.
You know, if you're looking to get ground, New Cumnock's it's not that there's opportunities around New Cumnock.
Auctioneers, they
For
always
sheep.
know stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but auctioneers will generally know
Bits and pieces.
most bits, but you can't just phone the auctioneer and go, "Oh, there's this field
No,
at
but
the
they
side
know,
of the
there's
road."
something that might lead you onto something, and just it's all about the
Yeah,
start.
Google Maps as well. Most farm businesses have the name attached on Google Maps because
Yeah.
it's a registered business address. So if you pop your Google Maps up, you'll be able to see it's such and such that owns that. So yeah, good. That is for this week. That's plenty, I think.
Yes.
Okay, right. Thanks very much to everyone that's been listening and watching. Hopefully, I've not offended too many people this week. I should end it with like a David Goggins, stay hard. That's his thing. Do you know who David Goggins is yet? I keep saying Lizzie's like David Goggins.
No, who's
I've
that?
not.
He's this mad guy that does all these extreme. He's an ex-Royal Marine.
Oh, right, he said
Or Navy SEAL he is. He's American, so he's an ex-Navy SEAL. He's just like a machine, like does all this crazy endurance challenges and
Does he?
all this like he's got the world record for pull-ups in a day. It's mad. It's like 2,000 odd or something.
Oh, come on.
But I would say Lizzie's like him. Like if she can make something harder and tougher, she gets more of a kick out it, and that's what he's like. So, thanks everyone for listening and watching, and remember, stay hard.